Hi, Shaena.
Hi, Maria. I'm glad to be here. I've got a fellow here that knows a lot, and he's easy to talk to. And that's our Lou Torres from ODOT. Good morning, Lou.
Hey, good morning, Shaena. How are you?
Very good, very good. It's great to have you here. Boy, ODOT's been in the news lately. Not so much over here, but over in the Portland area. You guys were busy.
Well, I'll tell you, the drive over here this morning was really nice and great to see the mild weather out here. We just finally defrosted. We were extremely busy for about 5-6 days. That ice storm last week just laid a coat of ice and snow that kept us really busy. It kept refreezing, and so we had we had our crews working 24/7 for almost 5-6 days.
And not to diminish all the work, we've got ODOT here in Tillamook County, and Highway 6 wasn't real friendly every day.
Well, we had a challenge throughout the whole region. This wasn't just a Willamette Valley, Portland situation. We had the Coast Range was really slammed pretty hard, the Cascades as well. And so I think it was just the breadth of it all that it covered such a large area, a large swath that affected so many people. That was the big challenge.
Well, and a challenge that I happen to think ODOT's handling very well, along with their contractor, is the work that's been happening on Highway 101 and Highway 6.
Yeah, we've been real pleased the way things have been going. We have been at it really working hard for the last 2-3 months. Any project of this magnitude, it takes a little while to kind of get up and running and running smoothly, and it's probably not going to run smoothly initially. And we had a few hiccups, but we got through those. And I think people now are starting to understand that we're going to be really here for almost another year and a half, and a lot of work to do still.
One of the things, and I see that's a major bridge work, and I was pretty. That's the hard thing. You want to slow down and look. No, drive along. Don't be stopping here and watching just because it's interesting. But that's a major bridge going in there, isn't it?
Well, it is. And, the prime contractor on this project, their number one skill set is the bridge building. And so they got right after it really quick. And it's doing really well. We got the pilings in, and they're going to be pouring the footings for that bridge here pretty quick. And so we're right on schedule, really, to have at least that first bridge done before Memorial Day next year, because we want to make sure that 101 is we're not going to be taking any lanes when summertime comes. So we have some deadlines and some schedules to maintain.
And it's interesting, Lou, I know that maybe you could walk us through. So they're working on the bridge, but they're also starting to work on the sidewalks?
Yeah, the downtown work is also they're also starting on that, and they're really going to be taking a block by block approach. They're not going to really try to tear up the whole large swaths of the downtown initially. It's going to be a block by block approach, and so they're working on the plaza. That's going to be a really neat thing when that gets finished. Then they're starting to put some of the utilities in and get that. The electrical contractor's been busy working on that as well. There's so many different components to this project. The prime contractor has about 25 to 30 subcontractors that are working on this project. So they have to work all of these people in to do different aspects of the project. So it's really a challenge.
I can believe it. One thing, and I'd like to thank you. I've been so happy driving back and forth as I do every day from Bay City, and I'm sure the people that are driving down here from farther up are pleased that the resurfacing was accomplished on 101.
It was badly in need of resurfacing, as you know, and we were really glad to get that project finished. And we've gotten a lot of positive comments from folks, and so we're real pleased about that. But we're not finished yet. We next year, we're going to be going into both Bay City and Rockaway Beach to do some ADA ramp upgrades, and there'll be some paving involved in that as well. So those communities are also going to see additional parts of that. That was actually included in the original project, but got separated out just because it was easier to do the ramps and everything as a separate project. And then Garibaldi, the year after that, which is going to be a much more work that's going to have to be done. It's going to be Garibaldi's turn to also have a lot of that downtown work done too.
I remember Lou, when they were talking about that, because wasn't there some change in how those ramps were engineered or something?
Yeah, I think the engineering required a little bit more work than Garibaldi because of of its location, and I'm not sure of all the different challenges. But it wasn't just putting in ADA ramps; they had to rebuild some things. So we needed to do a separate project for that, and so that's scheduled, I think, out to like 2018. So we're not finished investing in these local communities. We're going to be back out here in the next couple of years.
Well, Lou, and it strikes me, I think the stars kind of aligned for Tillamook County to have these major projects happening. But how many jobs? You're Region 2?
We are Region 2.
Just in Region 2, it must be amazing what's going on.
Well, it is, and I always kind of tell when I go out and talk to groups, sometimes it just happens to be your time. And Tillamook County, certainly in the last year or two, and then now for the next couple of years, it's the county's turn to have a lot of work being done on the roads. Manzanita project, for instance, that's a good example. We'll be wrapping that up next year, but we've been working on that for the past couple of years, and there are other projects as well in Tillamook County that we've been trying to address, and so we're glad to be able to address all those concerns and issues.
When we talk about the Manzanita project, and I think people notice it, but I don't think they realize the magnitude of that project because they're driving over the top of it.
It's an amazing project, the Manzanita project. It turned out to be bigger than I think everybody thought, because to try to build a large culvert that size under the roadway there, and also redirect the water and basically move in a stream. So you're doing that as well, and then we're going to be realigning the road. That'll be happening next year. So 101 is going to be much easier to drive through there once we realign the road as well. So it's really a neat project, but it provided a lot of challenges, no doubt about it.
Well, and that's one of the things when I think about that, the moving the creek, ODOT is pretty conscious about fish passage.
Well, we are. Anytime we have to replace a culvert, we're going to be replacing it most likely with a much larger culvert in order to make sure that it meets all the standards. Standards change all the time on those. And then also fish passage is important, and it's in the law. Mm-hmm. And ODOT's going to be a cooperator on all of those. And so whenever we have to get to that point, we're going to be working with the Fish and Wildlife folks and other agencies to make sure that we're meeting all the law and all the specifications that they need to have met.
And you say that I've been to a few meetings with the Salmon Superhighway, and it's just in Bay City we have a 9 culvert project, and some of those culverts, they sounded like the right size to put in. They were 4 foot by 36 foot, not near big enough. Some of those have to be changed to a 12-foot culvert.
It is amazing. When we had last winter, when we had a lot of problems with some of the culverts, and then even this winter too, we had to, these were very expensive replacements because once these culverts, and they're old, and we have many culverts within the state that are old and need replacing. But when we do, we know it's going to be much more expensive because they have to be much larger. So that means that the roadway work that has to be done is going to be much more as well. So we have to plan for this. We have to try to finance it as best we can. So, and that's a big issue here on the coast because we have so many culverts to address.
Truly, truly. We're visiting with Lou Torres from ODOT. We're going to take a short break for a great sponsor, and we'll be right back and find out more. But do you know one of those do-it-yourself kind of guys? They're always telling you to do it yourself. Well, sometimes that isn't the best solution. You're in luck, whether it's a leaky faucet, a complete bathroom remodel, or maybe replacing that septic system. Do yourself a favor and call Clark's Plumbing. They're professionals. They'll get the job done. Anything, new installations, upgrades, that stopped-up drain, you name it, they can do it. So the next time you hear do it yourself a favor and call 842-5105. That's 842-5105 for the professionals at Clark's Plumbing. And now we're back visiting with Lou, and it kind of struck me because when I think about, we just had a culvert fail in Bay City. It's a 4 foot by 36 foot culvert, and right now we've got a plate there. We have spoke to Fish and Wildlife and DSL, State Lands, and they've allowed us to put in a temporary culvert, mm-hmm. which may be the best because that 8 foot by 20 foot plate is not the best answer to serve these two homes. Back when the culvert work was done, when we had all those ones blow out up there on 22, terribly up on Wheeler, were those a permanent replacement or were they a fix, a patch?
Most of them are permanent replacements, and sometimes we can do them as an emergency project, like we did with the 131 right up here near Netarts.
Exactly.
We had a couple there. We had up near Wheeler, and then on 22. Those were done through emergency funds, so we're able to do that get federal funding through emergency declarations and things like that. So sometimes there's a lot of different ways. There's a number of different ways that you could fund these projects, and I'm not familiar with all of them, but those were emergency projects because we had roadways that were important to these communities, and we could not keep them closed for very long and restricting access. So we had to get those done as quickly as we could with a minimal amount of inconvenience, but it was a challenge.
Boy, I have a lot of respect for all the work that was accomplished in such a short period of time. It may have seemed a lot longer if you lived in Wheeler.
It was, and we totally understand that. I remember visiting the community, and I know it was really difficult. We had not only the culvert, but we had a couple slide repairs that we had to do. But these were major projects that we had to basically design and then fund and figure out how to put them in with, again, moving traffic through there. That was a real challenge.
One of the things, and I think I just read something, we got a flash alert about slides. I mean, we've had all this rain, we've had the snow melt, what we had up there is gone, and the next thing could be slides.
Well, it is, and that's kind of a part of life out here, living on the coast, certainly in the Coast Range. The land moves. It's a historic geologic history is full of slides through here, and so we're trying to maintain roadways on them. It's really it's tough because we know the ground's moving, but there's only so much you can do to slow it or stop it from happening. We try to keep it very slow and gradual, and hopefully we can patch and keep things going. And then when things get bad enough, then we do have to come up with a project and try to fix it. But it's a hard fix.
I remember, I want to say it was 20 years ago when that one blew out up on top on Highway 6. And it was like that for a long time. That was a major, major slide. 6
by itself is a huge issue because, when I think they designed the road, of course, goes along the Wilson River. It's in an area with a stark number of landslides, and quite honestly, you're not going to cut the mountains away. So, if you're going to put a road in there, this is an ongoing issue. So we're monitoring it all the time. Our maintenance crews are constantly looking at these different areas, and we know where they are. Mm-hmm. We know where they're located, and we're watching them. And if we have to do something a little bit more to prevent them from sliding out, we're going to do that. But people who travel these roads just need to be aware of that there could be some minor slides that can affect your travel, and you just have to be alert.
I think that's a big part of it, Lou. TripCheck, ODOT's website, that's tripcheck.com, folks. It's got a lot of information there, but sometimes we're the best judge.
Well, you are, and the locals, I think, know the area well. But sometimes it's the folks that are traveling outside the areas that aren't totally familiar, exactly. And so maybe they're not quite as ready. But I really tell people to be alert, especially during the winters here. We're finally this winter, we seem to be having a little more normal winters now again. And that means slides, that means flooding, it means high water, and all of the different things that you're going to get. And so we as motorists need to adjust our driving to those conditions.
Exactly. So I laughingly say I'm an excellent driver when it snows and there's ice because my car stays in the driveway.
Sometimes that's the best place, and we're hoping that, and really, except for the one bad night up in Portland where they got caught in the big storm, everybody hit the road at the same time. We really talked a lot about people staying home and not getting out on these very icy roads last week, and that helped.
And I know this has been unusual, but ODOT did put down a little rock salt.
We did. We finally, we've had two pilot test projects down in southeast and southwest Oregon that we've been doing for the last 4 years. But we elected to pull some salt up from our Ashland area down there near the Siskiyous to use on I-5 south of Salem, where we had a lot of buildup of ice. And so we really are going to use salt in a very strategic way, kind of more specific. We're not going to use it in a broad way, I don't think. But we want to have that extra tool in our toolbox. And it's really nice because salt can be effective. And so along with our de-icing as well as sanding, I think it gives us another tool.
When vehicles are, and I think of the commercial vehicles, the chains, the buses can automatically almost chain themselves up now. And TriMet running, keeping the light rail running to keep those tracks de-iced during that.
Yeah, and that turns out to be one of the bigger problems, though, is that TriMet actually is fairly well prepared for handling a lot of this, but then their buses have to travel in the traffic too, and they got stuck in that massive traffic jam, so the buses couldn't go very far. And then the ice can be a real problem on the tracks, and so you do the best you can, but sometimes Mother Nature wins sometimes.
I agree, she does. She does. How many people work for ODOT?
Yeah, we have around 43 to 4,400 people that are employed by ODOT. Yeah,
one of the larger agencies, probably.
It is. I think the Department of Human Services is number one, and we may be number 2 or 3. I'm not sure if Corrections is bigger than us or not, but I think we're definitely one of the larger agencies. And
spread out around the state. I mean, I said, if we're Region 2. Who's Region 1? Yeah, Region
1's Portland.
Oh, okay.
2 is pretty much the Willamette Valley coast and up to over the Cascades, but then 3 is Southwest, and then Central Oregon's Region 4, and Region 5 is Eastern Oregon.
And certainly all of them have different ways to look at those. Are entirely different areas. Sometimes maybe it's just the traffic that's the change.
I think that's partly why we have it divided up that way, is because we each have kind of unique needs and desires. A little bit of it overlaps a little bit. For example, the Willamette Valley and Portland, of course, overlap a little bit. But you're right. The weather certainly in Central Oregon and Eastern Oregon is quite different than the western side of the state. So they have their own other needs and concerns as well, but we think it works pretty effectively, and we have, of course, maintenance facilities located all over the state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do they fund? I mean, is it just gas tax? There's got to be some federal dollars too.
Yeah, it's primarily through the Federal Highway Trust Fund, which is through gas tax, both federal and state gas tax, as well as with some of the fees that we charge for driving and so forth. And they go into that Highway Trust Fund, and that goes specifically to highways. It can't be used for anything else. And so, but then, the federal government also has other funds that they have that go for like mass transit, for bikes and pedestrians and so forth. But the state really, all the tax dollars that people pay at the pump, that goes to state highways.
Okay.
And also to local highways, counties, and the cities as well. They get a chunk of that as well.
We do in Bay City. I think I want to say we get around $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. I always say our road fund is the most poorly funded, but we've done something in Bay City. We created a street maintenance fee of $5 per it's called an equivalent dwelling unit. With each utility bill, there's a $5 fee that goes only for overlayment. Oh, and by the way, the grindings from the ODOT job, those ended up in Bay City. And we got a little over 2 miles of gravel roads rocked with that for only $21,000. We couldn't have done it without you.
Well, it's amazing. We actually do try to recycle a lot of that product when we do grind up the pavement. And then people wonder where it goes. Well, it goes back into to roads.
Exactly.
Actually, is what it does.
Exactly. And Mainline, your contractor, great to work with, and really impressed with the job that they did. We're visiting with Lou Torres from ODOT. We're going to take another short break, and we'll be right back. But Tillamook is farm country. We all knew that already. And nobody serves this farming community better than the co-op. The co-op is actually 3 stores in one. Looking for work clothes, hickory shirts, work boots, rubber boots, rain gear, gloves? The Co-op has it. You'll find fencing, stock tanks, and everything from PVC to culvert pipe in stock. Tillamook Farmers Co-op treats you right. When you stop for fuel, your windows are always washed. They care about their customers. Plus, the Co-op has Purina feeds to help your livestock thrive. Offering quality products since 1936, Tillamook Farmers Co-op is there for you. Stop by. They've also got card lock, so if you need to fuel at 3 in the morning, you can get that done too. That's one thing. We're back visiting with Lou Torres from ODOT. You guys have an around-the-clock kind of, I noticed the sign out there on our 101 project, 24 hours.
Well, you know, that's an option for the contractor to do some work at night if they can do it. You know, and we're going to try to provide the least amount of inconvenience to folks in order to do that. You know, one thing that's come out of the start of the project here is that people have noticed that we've kind of stopped and started on different aspects of the project, and that's pretty typical with a large, complex project like the downtown project. They may see some work happening on one block, and then for a couple weeks nothing happens, and a lot of times that's because the prime contractor's trying to move subcontractors around their schedule as well, and so you're trying to make all of that work so that it kind of, you know, I just want to raise that awareness and that you know, we're going to be real busy here the next few months until we get to Memorial Day. So people don't fear that we're doing a lot of work out there. Well,
and it's obvious that you are, Lou, and I do appreciate. I think the people are getting used to the lighting and signage changes now, and actually seems to be moving. Well, it is moving a lot smoother than when they first started, but even than it was before, because there isn't the confusion at First Street, for instance, when you're turning north onto 101.
Well, you know, when you put these traffic plans together, and, you know, I think we're pretty good at it, but to be perfectly honest with you, until you actually implement it, where you actually see it operating, sometimes it doesn't work as well in real life as it does on paper. So you have to make adjustments. And I think that's what happened here on any of our big projects. The first few weeks we're making adjustments. And I know that a lot of folks were, you know, wondering if that was going to be the situation. But we had to see how it operated. And now we've made some changes, and we're going to continue to make adjustments based on what feedback we get from the businesses, from the Chamber of Commerce, from the city, and other key players on the project.
I'm going to compliment our chamber, and folks, if you haven't signed up for that newsletter from the chamber, they do a regular update on the 101 Highway 6 project. And
I really want to compliment the community, especially Justin with the chamber, Janelle, who's our liaison with the chamber and with the project, and the city of Tillamook as well, because they've been extremely great to work with and important players. I can't stress how important that is, because they've been the conduit to the local business community and residents as well, and it has helped us really communicate important information about the project. So I just really want to compliment the community.
Well, and one thing, because a lot of people are going to be traveling around, I'm glad that I have to remember that part where my car stays at home if it's icy or snowy. But it sounds like it's going to be easy for me to get to the Gresham area this weekend.
The weather looks good, looks much better, much more cooperative. I think Santa's going to be able to reach all the places he needs to go this coming weekend, hopefully. But I really want to thank the community and stress how much we really appreciate their patience with this big project. There's probably going to be a little bit more inconvenience coming. Unfortunately, it's a very complicated project, but you know, really want to apologize ahead of time for any inconvenience. But I want to thank the community for their patience.
I noticed some changes on Highway 6, for instance. We now have some 50-mile-an-hour curves that were 45 in the past, and I do appreciate keeping that striping, the pouring down rain. It's kind of nice to be able to see that fog line.
Well, there's been some changes. You're right, Shaena. You've been observing a lot. You know, even on 22 south through Hebo, we've changed some of the curve warning signs, speed limits. We've put up many more of those chevrons. You know, those side arrows. People have really noticed them. We put a lot more there just to get the motorist's attention and to get them thinking that you do need to slow down. You do need to observe these curves and be careful. So, we're trying to do as best we can to really get motorists' attention.
And I appreciate the work that they do. So if someone had a question, Lou, or wanted to reach out, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, you could certainly do it through myself, at ODOT, and you can go on our ODOT website. I'm there. My contact number and my email address is there as well. There you can go through even Janelle. With the chamber, she's been really good about sharing with me any issues and concerns that folks have had that are out there. So, and then of course through the city as well, and then the city can relay that to myself or Ken Cole, our project leader. So either way, we'll get that back to us, and we'll deal with it.
Excellent, because I know there's still things. I mean, and because when I come from a different direction, if I haven't been traveling down Highway 6 and I come back past the post office, it looks a little different. Just slow down, take a little bit of time.
And that's what's going to happen on this project is because we're going to be going from block to block, doing different work. Something will get finished, then we'll start somewhere else. And so what's going to happen is you're going to be driving going, boy, this really looks different through here. It's changing. And that's what's going to happen. But we're doing it over about an 18-month, 24-month period. So there's a lot of time to do it all.
And I have noticed that Pacific seems to have opened up a little bit. Our northbound 101, there for a while it was one lane, and now it's 2 lanes again. And
well, when we finally get Pacific and Main done, and get the new sidewalks in there and everything, it should feel that way, especially for motorists through there because it's very tight. It's a very tight area, when you have log trucks and you have other large semis with large motorhomes. It's really pretty interesting through there. So it's really going to be so much better when this project's done. I think it's going to be a huge benefit to the community.
I do, and correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't we narrowing up those sidewalks 1.5 feet?
A little bit,
yeah.
That was kind of part of the trade-off to get more room in the roadway was really to reduce some of that sidewalk area.
They're pretty deep in the past,
but still a pretty good sized sidewalk, and it's going to be all replaced. So it's going to be, I think, a much smoother walk through there and an easier walk. And then, of course, to cross the roads, I think is going to be a lot better for pedestrians as well.
I know back when the county and the urban renewal worked on 3rd Street going out towards our fairgrounds, boy, it was right on schedule, and then they discovered some vaults that were not in the right, some utility vaults that weren't supposed to be there. Any discoveries for your contractor?
Nothing really big at this point that we're overly concerned about, but it's like any big old home remodel project. You try to anticipate as much as you can. But then when you finally start to do the work, you find some things. And and there are going to be some of those kinds of things. Yeah. But we've tried to anticipate as much as we can. And our prime contractor's been really great as far as doing that. And so we'll see how it goes.
Excellent. Well, folks, as usual, let's see. Senior meals, 11:30 at St. Mary's by the Sea in Rockaway. That's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And, pardon me, that's not day. They're every day at Pacific in Pacific City there at the community center. There is a holiday flower arranging class from 10 to noon and from 4 to 5:30 today at the OSU Extension office. Adults are $15 for the class, and youth, kindergarten up, are $5 for the class. Tillaskate is having open skate during Christmas break. That's the 17th through the 23rd and the 26th through the 31st. You can use their skates for $5 or bring your own for $4. Though, let's see, through tomorrow, you can still pick up a coloring packet at the Tillamook County Library, color it in, and return the picture for a free cookie and a chance to win a $50 Visa gift card. Don't forget to stop by Fred Meyer's and shop for a foster child from their giving tree located at the entrance. Take a tag off the tree when you arrive, purchase the item during your trip, then take the item to DHS on 3rd Street by the fairgrounds. This is the 17th year Fred Meyer volunteers have coordinated the giving tree, which makes it the longest-running volunteer project for the Tillamook Fred Meyer. Tomorrow, Connie Green, our college president, is going to be by to fill us in on what's happening at our Tillamook Bay Community College. Christmas is Sunday, Lou. Have you got plans?
Well, mostly family, like
Yeah.
everybody else is, we're going to take advantage of that. And, I want to wish you, Shaena, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And again, thank you very much for inviting me and ODOT to be on your show today.
Well, thank you for the update, Lou, and you and yours have a wonderful Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
And I'm glad, folks, that I got to be here and tell everybody a Merry Christmas. But for now, thank you.